Sean Meyer, Digital Content Editor at Municipal World, here at the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities Conference here in lovely Halifax, continuing our series of conversations with very important municipal leaders, such as my next guest here, who I will let introduce himself.
Well, hi, Sean. My name's Mike Trinacty. I'm the mayor of the town of Berwick. I also chair what we call our Berwick Electric Utility, and I'm also the chair of our alternate resource energy authority as well.
Well, we will definitely get into a conversation about energy in a little bit. You're a busy man, clearly. You've got a lot of titles going on, and yet you found reason to come to this conference. I'm guessing because you find value in it.
Oh, there's a lot of value. I mean, the sessions are of great value. The opportunity to talk about the things that you do with other people, but just the networking that we do at these kinds of conferences, and to share the issues and the successes that we do between municipalities and partner. I think one of the big things for us is opportunities to partner. It's probably one of the things we're seeing more now with municipal units is more partnering and more agency cooperation. And
yeah, it's probably amazing. Like, the sessions are all important, but the number of contacts you just make in those hallways over lunches, social events, it's invaluable.
Well, I strongly encourage you not to sit with the people that you know at lunchtime and mealtime. So if you're intentional about that, then you can sit with 10 different people and have conversations about all kinds of different things. And then there's also a networking topical session that's usually held where you identify municipal topics, and then you sit and chat with people about that, and 20 minutes later you get up and move to another table and chat some more on something else. So it's all great opportunities to network.
Those topics of conversation, I'm sure you get a lot of them at those tables, because there's a lot going on in local government these days. What's your sense of the state of it across the country?
Municipal government, I think there's more recognition that municipal government is where we're the closest to the people. So we hear more about their issues. There's a greater expectation to be dealing with the broad sense of their issues and beyond what typically is the responsibility of municipalities. And housing is a huge issue, not particularly municipal responsibility, but partnering and working on that. So, it's the opportunity to really deal with the issues that people are identifying closest to them.
You referred to housing as once upon a time, not a municipal issue, but suddenly now it is. Mental health, just healthcare in general. Again, a provincial thing, but when one of your constituents is knocking on your door, maybe literally, they're looking for you to fix things. Difficult place to put you in. How do you deal with, yes, you're going to address housing needs in your community, but it's not just a solution that you guys can find by yourself.
That's absolutely true. So it is about partnering with the other levels of government and doing what is in your control, identifying perhaps land, identifying other resources, developers who may be keen. There are some things that you can do to help support the other levels of government and those drivers that are doing it, whether it's non-for-profit agencies and those kinds of things. Yeah.
For you, when you're dealing with those people who come to your door, not necessarily your door, but maybe your door, but in the grocery store and all those things, you certainly have, unlike MPs and MPPs, and they're coming right to your door. They're coming right to your face in the grocery store. How do you deal with those moments?
Well, Sean, you see those people. You're at the post office. You go to pick your mail up. That's a meeting place. And the grocery store, the rink, all those community places that you tend to go because you're part of that community. You live there. You work there. There's lots of opportunity. You get used to the fact that it takes a whole lot longer to go pick up a jug of milk at the grocery store than it did before you were in this. I mean, and that's just part of it, that you have to stop and you chat with people and you hear from them and you deal with them. And, you need to follow up with them, regardless if it's a municipal issue or not, on who may be the best contact or how to go about dealing with their issues. So it's what the people that are involved in municipal politics enjoy, because you are dealing with your friends and your neighbors and your next door organizations, and it's all part of it.
How do you deal with the stresses of those conversations? Because whether it's your responsibility or not, it does it's the mayor's fault. How do you deal with those moments?
Well, I mean, the nice thing about, again, municipal government is there's a team, there's municipal councilors, and We all tend to try to work together on these things.
Mhm.
We discuss these things together. We don't always agree, but at the end of the day, we're one group, and we agree to support whatever the decision of council is, and we're there for each other, and our staff play a big role in this, and we just try to work things out and deal with them as best we can.
I know one of the areas where you do work together with your council is green energy is important to you. I know that wind projects, solar, enhancement of the town's hydro plant, I know is a big thing in your community. So where did that all stem from?
Well, that's interesting. So the town of Berwick, we own our own municipal electric utility. There's only 5 of them in the province of Nova Scotia. At one time, 100 years ago, there were a whole lot more. Every community did their own. But 100 years ago, our town fathers decided that generating our own electricity was important. And we did take over. We purchased a hydro dam in 1921.
Wow.
And from there, we've been operating that. In 76, we created what was called our Berwick Electric Commission. That's through an act of legislature that allows us to operate a bit at arm's length and generate power.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, our hydro plant generates about 8 to 10% of our electrical needs. The remainder we have to buy from entities like Nova Scotia Power. Or we find other ways to generate it, which is what we've been doing recently. So just before I leave the hydro plant, though, we're doing some work now on some more efficiencies with that redoing turbines and those kinds of things. And so we hope that we can move our capacity from the 8 to 10 to 12 to 15% of our energy. So that's a good chunk. Yeah. And that's green energy, which is what's really key about this, as we all know it's important we have to start to decarbonize Absolutely. A bit. But what we've done, and we started in around 2010 or so with our superintendent at the time, by the name of Don Riggin, who thought we do need to look at other renewable energy, and how can we do that? And the best way would be to partner with some of these other municipal utilities.
Sure.
So there was a loose organization called the Nova Scotia Municipal Energy Utilities, so electric utilities. And they said, well, there's companies dabbling with this. Let's put out an RFP to see if we can find some way or somehow to generate an alternate source, whether it's solar or wind. So we had a company that put through a proposal that said, you know what, we have a location in Ellershouse, which for us is 60 kilometers away, which for Antigonish is 200 and some kilometers away, and from Home Bay, which is where the other utility is another 70 or 80 kilometers away. But it's an ideal location. It's close to transmission lines, and it has a high wind profile. So when we got that proposal back, it was like, so who's in? So it's the town of Antigonish, the town of Berwick, and the town of Mahone Bay agreed, well, we'll partner and we'll form this organization. Oh, wow. And this organization will then build these turbines, generate electricity, and then sell it to whoever's interested, which mainly is ourselves, our 3 utilities, and there's a 4th utility. So we've done that, and we have what we call our wind turbine farm. We have 10 turbines there, creates 23.5 megawatts of energy, which for each of those municipal units is about 42% of our electrical needs now coming from renewable. Which is really important is in Nova Scotia, there is an Environmental and Climate Change Act that says you must have, anybody who supplies electricity needed to have 25% of their energy coming from renewables in 2015. You had to have 40% coming by 2020, and you have to have 80% coming by 2030. So we're happy to say that our 3 municipal units are the only ones to have reached that goal of 2020, 40%. And we're at about 42 now, just with the wind. So you throw in another 8%. In Berwick's case, we're at 50% of our energy coming from renewables at this point. And that's 2018, so we're 2 years earlier than that.
Right.
So we had a lot of success with this energy authority to the point where we said, well, let's keep moving on this, because there's lots of other alternative sources of energy. Yeah. So our next foray was into solar. So our model with the wind turbine farm was to create one farm in one location that generate the energy there, put it on the transmission lines, feed it off to our towns. This model is a little different. We've now gone to each one of those 3 communities, and we've said, let's build solar. We call it solar gardens. So solar is a garden and wind is a farm. Why that is, I have no idea. But that's where it is. So we each have our own solar garden. And in Berwick's case, it creates about 14% now of our energy supply.
Amazing.
So, now we're at the 65% or so of our energy all coming from renewables. So, that's kind of brings us to today, where we're at with the amount of energy. So now we're looking at, we got to reach 80. So we're now back to the wind farm, and we're working perhaps on a little different model where we're partnering with a major company called Potentia to actually put 6 more turbines, maybe up to 12 at the wind farm, much larger. The present ones are 143 meters tall. These ones will be 205, so they just generate more energy. And with that, it'll double the amount of energy that we get out of there, and it'll take us to, if all goes well, it'll take us to our 80 plus or our 100%. So for the town of Berwick, that's really key, because we're actually hoping to be the first town in the country that can say they generate 100% of their electrical needs all through renewable sources.
That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it is. It's impressive. It's a goal of ours, and it's a target we really hope and intend to reach.
So clearly, I mean, there is a legislative component to what you're doing, but I'm guessing a lot of it is also, you wouldn't do this if your community wasn't behind it. So how is the average person, some of these concepts are beyond people who don't know them. How do you go about educating people about what you're accomplishing?
Well, we've done a fair bit of that. We actually at one point hired someone who went door to door to talk about the potential for solar coming to town and looking at that, to the point where people were saying, how can I participate in that? And at one time we were talking about, is there a way that people might be able to contribute and put their name on a panel or do some kind of thing that way that would also help us generate capital. That didn't work out quite that way. And so we were talking at the time what we called subscriptions to the solar garden. So you could pay something in and you may get something returned, maybe a discount on your bill or not. We have 12,000 panels in our solar farm. But we still have, to the point where people are asking, how can I put money? How can I support this?
Right.
And that's been a really good feeling to know that people really support that.
Absolutely.
But the key to this as well, as much as we're decarbonizing and creating renewable energy, we're also less dependent on Nova Scotia Power.
Sure.
And we control our destiny a little bit there, and our costing. So the power that we generate, we have to pay for it through area, or we pay through the Electric Commission. There is a fee for this because there's costs in operating it, there's cost in financing it.
Sure.
But we hope our electric utility rates will be less than if you live somewhere else and rely on another source of power like Nova Scotia Power. So that also is very attractive to our residents to know that our power is cheaper.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've done already to help make our community and have people recognize that we need to reduce our supply, our needs for less renewable energies is we put electric vehicle charging stations throughout the town. So we have a dozen charging stations. So we we're encouraging people to use EVs, whether they're plug-in hybrids or fully electric. And so they're very convenient. They're at the rink, they're at the businesses, they're at town hall, they're different places so it's in their face. They see it and they understand and appreciate that they need to get through this stuff. So, of course, one of the other things now, which is more technology driven that we're looking at doing, the next project is through NRCan, which is a major funder towards a lot of these kinds of projects, is how we can have more artificial intelligence involved in our grid and people's own power supply. So that means smart meters on your home. That means you looking at your own energy needs and you making your decision that if I can get this energy cheaper now at night or some other time of the day, perhaps when the sun is really shining, we've got an excess of renewable. Maybe we have a discount on supply. So that's when you put your dryer on, or that's when you use your dishwasher, just when there's drawing heavier, better sources because you get a discount. So there's lots of things you can do when you get to this high-end technology stuff. And of course, the other big piece is, we know with renewables, you need another supply when the wind's not blowing or the sun's not shining. Yep. So, you need partners who do contribute to your grid when those times are, unless you can store that yourself.
Right.
And so battery is a huge piece of this now. Storage opportunities. And also, so when there is lots of sun and lots of wind, you're charging your batteries or you're selling your excess. And that's a big key for us as we move forward is opportunities to sell that energy, put it back on the line, whether it's Nova Scotia Power, it can go to some other supplier, companies interested in green energy for hydrogen. There's just so much more potential now as we go forward with technology and what you can do with additional renewable supply. So it's a huge amount of work and it's a huge challenge, but you know what? We're into it now and we're excited about it. And we're gonna keep on down this track. And
it sounds like a good message for other municipalities across the country, quite frankly, that these things are significant and they are substantial, but not beyond the realm of even small municipalities to start taking over.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we are a very small town, and but it's important to us to do this, and we're doing perhaps a small piece towards it, but we're doing our share, and we want to do perhaps a little bigger share.
That's a good message to leave this conversation on.
Great.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Perfect. All right.